Hello, Connective. Have the Energy Oracle cards and the Empath Empowerment deck out today. Just looking for one card from each deck for it's a basic energy reading. See if we can get one card to come out of this deck. Oh, we got more than one. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, so we got the garden and the gate. We'll talk about it. And blossoming abundance. And I'm gonna hopefully get one from the Empath Empowerment deck. Let's see what that is. Release other people's emotions. So, now I've read, because the garden and the gate has come out before. Kind of read it like, the girl that's standing here, she actually has a key around her neck. Sorry, it might be a little dark. The sun moved. I'm kind of in front of the window, so I'm trying not to blast you, but it might be a little dark. But she has this key around her neck to this gate. So even if she couldn't climb over the gate, she literally could take that key and open the gate. And, in the other readings that card has come out in, I've read that as walking away. Sorry. And, I would have to say in this particular reading, and especially coming out with this, Blossoming Abundance, it kind of is like screaming at me that, like, if you release other people's emotions, let me read this. Release other people's emotions. Ask yourself, is this emotion mine? Exhale uncomfortable feelings that are not yours so they don't linger in your body. Inhale light and space. So, if you happen to take on other people's emotions, you can release them immediately. You don't have to hang on for any particular length of time. Once you realize, I feel this way, but I'm pretty sure it's not mine, or, you can, do that thing where you inhale and exhale and kind of clear your energy of other people's emotions. And you can do that over and over again if you need to. Basically, these three cards together are telling me that, you really do have the key to releasing other people's emotions. That if you do hang on to them, that you're just keeping yourself inside that gate, which, in some ways could feel safer. Sometimes. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes we hang on to stuff because we feel safer. It's something that we're used to, or even if we hate it, something that's familiar and it's, less scary than what's unfamiliar. And, honestly, you can choose at any time, to release other people's emotions. Once you do decide that you want to go ahead and let these things go, first of all, there's so many places to go after that. There's that's just country out there. There's no path or anything. When she walks out that gate, it's just grass. It's just grass. There's a sidewalk leading out, but beyond that, there's just grass. That's where the blossoming abundance is. That's what the reward is. A lot of times, people think that abundance is money. They just assume that abundance is money. And it is, of course. But abundance itself is a lot of something, So, if you have a pillow fight, you might have to clean up abundance of feathers. So, blossoming abundance to me is your ability to be able to continue to bring in the things that you want. And it could be anything. It could literally be anything. It could be anything. It could be friends. It could be money. It could be business, like in your business, you could be just bringing in more clients or customers, or people with good ideas, or you could have an abundance of ideas, good ideas that each and every one of them, when you do finally get around to implementing them, they're each and every one of them great ideas on their own, like money-making ideas all on their own, an abundance of ideas. And so it really is, the abundance comes, I was going to say this earlier and then I wanted to elaborate on it, but the abundance comes when you do the work. I hate to say it that way, but you can't be like one of those people that hangs on to negativity and just doesn't want to look at, how you treat, your other people. Even if there's just one person that you could treat better. There's just one person, you admit it, you're like, I know, I really should treat this person better. You're not really helping yourself out in the abundance area. First of all, whatever it is that you are doing to the other person is going to come back on you, even if it doesn't come back from that other person. So it's going to block whatever abundance you're trying to get because you're doing things in a way that don't really feel good. That's why you have to release other people's emotions, because a lot of times, especially if you're like, let's just say it, this is the empowered empaths deck. If you're a disempowered empath and you're soaking up other people's stuff, it's probably not good. It's probably not like you're like, oh, it's this person's birthday, let me just feel that all day. That's probably not what you're doing, You're probably sucking up, pain, misery, worry, fear, God knows what. And when you do, you do need to release. Once you figure it out, you need to release. Even if you're just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. You can kind of say, okay, if this fatigue belongs to someone else, please send it back. You can ask your guides, is this mine? If this is not mine, please send it back. It could be anything. It could be anything. One time, I was pulling on the freeway, and the on-ramp was, it's kind of one of those on-ramps where you kind of wind around, so you can't even really see where you're going to be, the freeway that you're going to, you can't see the freeway that you're getting on from the on-ramp. And, on top of that, once you get to the top of this little curvy thing, merging is hard because the people on the freeway on-ramp, even though they see you coming, don't realize necessarily right away that they have to get over. So, even on this on-ramp, I've had to come to a dead stop because someone was going to run me off a bridge. And I started to feel what can only be described as someone else's heart attack. I'm getting on this on-ramp and the pain in my chest is so unreal that I can barely drive. And I tell my guides, if this is not mine, please send it back where it came from. I could barely get it out. Because when I am alone, I do speak out loud to my guides and angels and ancestors. For me, it helps me to hear what I'm saying sometimes. But this is one of those situations where if I had tried to get on the freeway with this, I really don't know what would have happened. It was such a terrible pain. And it's just, sometimes it's the way it is. You can even be an empowered empath and pick stuff up, you know? I mean, as we get to the point where we become more, able to discern what we do and don't want to feel, and as we decide, hey, I picked this up, let me just get rid of it real quick, or just as a regular practice, you're like always cleaning your energy field, because you already know that even just by going out into the world, you're clogging your energetic filter. Really important to release other people's emotions every day and twice on Sunday. Honestly. And sometimes it's hard to do that. Sometimes you're sitting in it, and you know that whatever you need to go through to do what I just talked about is going to be a little bit painful for whatever reason, and sometimes it can be. And you do need to understand, first of all, that if you're sitting in something that you need to release, you're blocking this. You're absolutely 100% blocking this. Because even if it has nothing to do with emotion or fear or any reason why you're holding on to what you're holding on to here, there's most likely, if this is waiting to come in the first place, there's not a whole lot of room for it to come in to begin with. Sometimes you have to release things to get things, and it doesn't have to be equivalent. It's not like, oh, I lost, a friend, let me get 5 more, Sometimes it can seem like similar things because they give similar stuff, like if you lose something that gives you comfort, but then you gain something else that brings you even more comfort, and the two things really aren't related. They're not similar things, So sometimes you can pinpoint that pattern if you pay attention. But honestly, if you're hanging on to a bunch of stuff, like I said, it doesn't really matter what the reason is for that. This thing is going to wait. It's going to wait till you decide to use that key. It's going to wait. Might as well open the gate. Let the dogs out. let everybody's emotions out. Just let them out. Let them run free in the countryside. And just worry about your own emotions, because honestly, when you get rid of this, when you stop processing this, then you can really kind of look at your own emotions and what you're holding on to of your own, that's blocking this. Because a lot of times when we are into other people's stuff, it's because it resonates with us for some reason. Let's say I'm a disempowered empath and I have trouble with fear. For some reason, before I had my spiritual awakening, I was just afraid of everything. Let's just be afraid of everything. And then let's say I get near someone who maybe isn't afraid of everything, but maybe they're experiencing fear. And it could even be like the base emotion that they're experiencing might not be fear. Their base emotion might be anger because someone did something that causes fear in them, like their shadow. And you're going to pick that up. You're going to pick that up. You're going to ruminate in it. Fear, I get it. Oh, you're afraid to lose this guy. Let me just feel this for a while. And then, depending on how well you manage to soak up their emotions, they may even get off scot-free. Honestly, they may get to the point where they go, wow, I feel better. I don't know why. Because you soaked their stuff up. Now you have to get rid of it. Gotta get rid of it. Whenever you choose to do that. So, honestly, think about that. Even if you weren't thinking about that, and you were thinking about this, and you really, truly knew how the law of attraction worked, you wouldn't even allow that to happen. You'd be like, oh my God, if I let myself feel this thing right here, it's going to throw off my alignment. And if it throws off my alignment for an extended period of time, it's going to throw off my manifestation. And if it throws off my manifestation for any length of time, it's going to throw off my abundance. You know, I mentioned in another video before that sometimes people do this on purpose. They'll take other people's emotions. They don't do it really for the purpose of taking other people's emotions, but they just kind of know instinctively that it'll make the other person feel better. They want to make the other person feel better. They kind of sort of sometimes can do it at their own expense. They can even be an empowered empath and make that choice, you know. You just have to, you know, like I said, if you take that on, you know, you have to transmute that. You have to turn it into something else. Otherwise, you know, again, you're just going to be kind of moving around in it. And when, like I said, when you focus on that abundance, I'm not even really talking about blossoming abundance, but, you know, blossoming abundance to me is abundance that has momentum. You know, it just keeps coming in. Even if it's at the very beginning, you know, it's blossoming, it's starting, it's blooming, you know. People are truly impressed with a plant that keeps blooming, right? Like, oh my God, there's still roses on this thing. Yeah, but you got to move it in the right direction. You know what I mean? You can't be swimming through everybody's and then trying to transmute all that energy and then still trying to get what you want. You know, like I said, if you get into that situation where you're kind of taking on other people's stuff, and especially, like I said, especially if you don't identify with it, it could be something, you know, as an empath, you can pick up something that that you wouldn't even normally feel. Like, in other words, a circumstance that caused someone to feel a certain way, and you could feel that certain way, but you know that in that circumstance you wouldn't feel that way, but you can still feel it, and it can be pretty specific. You know, you'll know. But, you know, like I said, the real trick here is not picking it up at all. Why? Because when you're, let's say you're in the beginning of a spiritual awakening, but you come across this information that basically lets you know how to navigate energy. You go, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. You know, I have the key. I'm just going to do this, right? This is going to bring me what I want. And then something happens. Might not even be other people's emotions. It could be, you know, you could be thinking, oh, that doesn't happen to me anymore. And then, you know, you could be around somebody you really love and care about, and they could be going through something, and you could pick that up, sure. But even if it's not their stuff, if it's your stuff, something that upsets you, it might not even be like you get upset by stuff anymore, but maybe you figure out later on that the person that was involved can still trigger you, something like that. You know, as you start picking up other people's stuff in that situation, you get a little wobbly. You'll be like, oh, I got this down, I got this energy thing, I know what's going on, I know how to bring blossoming abundance every day, all the time. And then something happens. You lose it a little bit. You can lose it for 3 months. And in that time be like, oh my God, this person, oh my God, that person. And why can't I get centered again? What happened? What happened? So really, really keep in mind this for sure. At least then, if you know that you're not doing this anymore, if you know, especially as an empowered empath, that you're not doing this anymore, or even as a disempowered empath, you know, I'm not doing this. Then you can start to work on your own stuff. You can start to work on your own shadow. You can start to work on your own emotions, you know, a little bit clearer, because you're not trying to clear up stuff that, you know, might be a little bit of a part of you, but maybe isn't really what's coming through right now. You know, it might be something that you're allowing because, you know, you're picking it up. You're picking something up. And so what I was going to say earlier, if you're watching your own stuff and you're trying to be clear and you're trying to make good decisions about what you're hanging on to, when you're concentrating on this and you're mindful of those things that get in the way of this, then you can actually do this a little better. You're not like skirting that issue and then trying to figure out why this doesn't work. And yes, it can be that way. So keep that in mind. Release other people's emotions. Release other people's emotions. Choose it. Choose it to release all of it. Everything. so you can get that abundance, so you can get that continued abundance. And we're not just talking about stuff, we're talking about good relationships, we're talking about lasting experiences with people and everything in between, blossoming abundance, everything in between. So consider that until we meet again.